We've all felt that familiar rumble in our tummies, a sign that a storm is brewing, that an event of colossal magnitude is about to go down. From the most innocent blips to the most thunderous of belches, human beings have a handful of things in common, and one of those is we all burp. But what happens when burping goes belly up, and you aren't able to let the noxious gases within your body burp right on out of your mouth? Would they sneak out through another orifice, or would you balloon up, expanding and expanding until you eventually pop? Luckily, our old friend Brainerd is here, and as always, he's willing to lay his body on the line so you don't have to. That boy just loves science. So we're gonna send Brainerd on a date and have him drink a couple of cans of very fizzy cola just before. Will he be able to hold in his gas long enough to woo the woman of his dreams, possibly suffering internal damage to do so, or will he be forced to let it rip? Guess we'll find out. Now, before we get into the details of what happens if Brainerd can't burp, we should probably tell you what a burp is. When we eat food after smelling it and chewing it and possibly telling a waiter, it's delicious, thank you, we swallow, sending it down a tube known as the esophagus into our stomach. There, your food is bathed in a vat of your body's natural acids, bacterias, and enzymes, which break it down for nutrients and energy. If you're having trouble imagining this, just picture the final scene of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where Arnold Schwarzenegger is lowered into a pit of molten metal, but like he's a piece of broccoli instead. Too deep a reference? Fair enough, we'll keep it moving. Unfortunately, during the process of eating food and breaking it down for nutrients, you tend to ingest some air. This air is what comes back up through your esophagus in the form of the almighty burp. Carbonated drinks like soda and beer cause a similar reaction as well by bringing gas into your system. Interestingly enough, the air bubbles rarely make it to your stomach in the first place. Most of the time they get trapped along the way, clinging to the walls of your esophagus like Dory and Nemo clinging to the whale's tongue near the end of Finding Nemo. Too deep a reference? Fair enough, we'll keep it moving. So what kind of foods and activities are primarily responsible for burps? Chewing gum is one of the biggest offenders since it activates our chewing and eating mechanisms whilst we ingest nothing but air. Smokers tend to also have particularly burpy burps, as they tend to smoke while talking and drinking, leading to some esophageal confusion. Eating too quickly, sucking on hard candies, and eating greasy foods are all causes of excessive burping. Now, before going on this date we've set up for him, Brainerd will probably want to let out as much gas as possible, but while burping up to 4 times after meals is normal, there are certain conditions that can make you burp way more than that. Indigestion, acid reflux, gastritis, and IBS are all conditions with multiple unfortunate symptoms, such as bloating, heartburn, and cramping. But the one thing they all have in common is burps. While burping can be annoying if you can't stop, it's definitely not the worst of these symptoms and often even feels quite relieving. So burping, while impolite, isn't so bad. But what about Brainerd and his quest to hold in his burps on this date? Well, let's take a look and see how he's holding up. As Brainerd tends to listen to his date's Brainderella story, he actually intensely focused on the building pressure and discomfort in his abdominal walls. As the pressure mounts, his abdomen starts to distend, with some of the gas being absorbed into his circulation and exhaled through his breath, making it a bit stinky. As he continues to valiantly hold his ground whilst responding to questions about what he does for a living and whether or not he saw that one Super Bowl ad with the baby peanut, his body won't be able to hold it in any longer. Once his concentration wavers, he'll let out the gas all at once as an uncontrollable fart, if he's lucky. If Brainerd is unable to fart, there would be literally no way for the gas to be expelled. His stomach would continue to fill with gas, reaching its 1-gallon max limit, before literally exploding. As you can see, by holding in his burps, Brainerd only exacerbates his problems, turning a lowly burp into intestinal pain, stinky breath, and one heck of a fart, or possibly even death. And believe it or not, being unable to burp is a real condition that some people deal with, although it's a condition so rare that it hasn't even gotten a name. Sufferers tend to tighten their larynx, preventing gas from being released via the throat, which causes bloating, tightness in their chest, and acid reflux. Like we said, all that gas has to go somewhere, resulting in massive farts. Fortunately for sufferers, an experimental procedure has been discovered, which involves injecting Botox into the throat, allowing their larynx to relax and blessing them with the ability to burp. So there you have it. Burping is a blessing to us all, a way to get rid of the potentially life-threatening gases that build up in our bodies as a byproduct of eating. While holding in a burp probably won't have any lasting ill effects on your body, it could definitely result in a far more embarrassing situation than the one you're trying to avoid. So let's rewind to the beginning of the date, where Brainerd first started feeling intestinal discomfort. Except this time, he politely excuses himself to the bathroom, burps to his heart's content, and then comes back and suavely dives into a conversation about how his job is to, hold burps in for as long as he can. Well, better luck next time, Brainerd. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And make sure you head on over to the Brainiac YouTube channel for more bubbly content. Later, Brainiacs.